Making mistakes is unavoidable when learning anything. We just can't get better without failing first. And today, in order to help you improve and go a step further in your artistic journey, I'll be presenting you with 3 common mistakes that me and many other artists have made. We will be going through what are these mistakes, why they hinder your drawing, and my personal tips to help you stop making them. I suggest you watch till the end. If you find yourself making any of these, then hopefully this video will be of great help to you. Enjoy! Hi, my name is Majid. I've been drawing digitally for the past 4 years. You can find my work in my social media, the links are in the description below. I'd really appreciate if you check them out. I specifically selected these 3 commonly seen mistakes because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about them recently, if any really. So without further wait, let's just jump straight to mistake number 1, tangents. Mostly but not only associated with lines, tangents are intersections between lines of unrelated objects that make them seem related. One of the first examples that come to mind is this old painting I did about a year ago. The tangent here is that the animal, or poro if you played League of Legends, and the tree in the background have that one single outline separating them, making it look like they are related in some way. And I think we can all agree that this looks very distracting, and a simple way to fix it is just to move that tree away and let it be in its own space. As I said right now, it is recommended to avoid this kind of tangents, as they can be really distracting, especially when not leading to your focal point, and breaking your composition will only harm your drawing. So let me show you how I go about avoiding tangents, following this painting. I believe in the idea that the quality of your sketch, aka the structure, will define the quality of the final result. So if your structure is severely flawed, no amount of fancy detailing or rendering will be enough. So the process of removing distracting tangents starts in the initial sketch phase, where you can see I'm paying attention to every time I notice 2 unrelated objects sharing the same outline. For example, I noticed while filling the sketch that this hair strand is weirdly touching her shoulder in this exact spot, which shouldn't be happening, so I make sure to separate them as much as possible. One very common tangent you can find in the art world is this one. In portraits at 3/4 view, you might see the tip of the nose touching the outline of the chin, which creates the exact same tangent I showed you earlier. So a quick way to fix it is by either extending the tip of the nose or shortening it, depending on what looks the best for you. And with the sketch finished and the silhouette looking decent enough, our hunt for tangents should be nearly finished. We just have to make sure we don't accidentally create other ones while coloring and rendering, which shouldn't be that hard. The second common mistake I see a lot of people do and barely anyone mentions is the wrong overuse of layer blending modes. Blending modes are very satisfying to use. The most popular among the art community are overlay, multiply, and of course the one and only
It's color dodge.
that's been kinda wrongly advertised this last decade. especially for Photoshop users. Now, before you start throwing knives at me, let me explain myself first, starting with the overlay and multiply mode, and how they are sort of slowing your progress. The specific use case I'm talking about is, you finished your sketch, you add your base color, and now it's time to shade it. What are you gonna do? Pick a shadow color for each part manually? Of course not. You have all these fancy blending modes that can do the work for you. Even professionals use them, so they have to be the correct answer, right?
Wrong.
Look, I can't blame you for believing this. I, too, was following this technique, since I saw it in multiple YouTube tutorials, where they explained the workflow of using multiply for shadows and overlay for lights. But what I didn't notice at the time is that these resulting colors are all modified in the final result. They are just a starting point. They use them to make sure the values are good enough. That's it. You can start with them, but remember that they are inaccurate. If you're not painting something monochromatic, then your subject is more likely to contain multiple materials and base colors. Each of them behaves differently when hit by the light source. A metallic surface will never have the same shadow tones as a matte surface. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I recommend you go watch this video by Mark Brunette, where he explains the materials way better than I could ever do. How I fixed this issue in my art was simply by going the hard way, picking shadow and light colors manually. I use blending modes to help me get the result I want, not to let it decide for me. For example, I use it here on this bit of light hitting the nose to convey what is called subsurface scattering. It's just this reddish tone around the light area to make it look more alive and skin-like, instead of just plastic. I know it can be very scary for beginners who are always kinda looking for the easy and fast way up. Sorry to break it to you, kid, but there ain't no such thing as easy way in art. And of course, I won't skip talking about the infamous
It's color dodge
mode and how it's blinding me. Here's where the misconception comes in. You finished your painting and it's
color dodge
time. You pick that bright color, you throw it all over your painting and yeah, my eyes hurt. Please, for the love of God, stop using bright colors in color dodge mode. This mode is very powerful, it will make anything bright white. And no, it does not look magical. At least, not like this. Here's how you want to use it instead. I noticed that using colors in this range gave the most appealing and magical result. Also, don't believe that it's a good final touch. In case you haven't noticed, Ross always puts this plus X hours after color dodging his art. Yes, he paints over his color dodge. That's because it's not perfect. It will always leave undesired blurry edges once used. So what he does is, he keeps the resulted color and paints over them, fixing the edges. I'll make a video about that sooner or later, just patience. Now, listen, I'm not putting a gun toward you, ordering you to stop and do it like the masters right away. This is your art, you're free to approach it the way you want. Just remember that layer blending modes aren't the be-all end-all for all shading, and you kinda wanna get away from that stuff in order to get better. I hope this makes somewhat sense. The third and last mistake we're gonna talk about today is also related to shading, but this time, instead of talking colors, we're gonna talk about your shadow shapes and explain to you how you can convey volume in a much more appealing way than this. If you've ever searched for shading tutorials, I'm sure you've stumbled upon this sphere. The principle is easy enough. Draw a sphere, fill it in a base medium value color, add a light source, some bounce light, the ambient occlusion, and you have basically 90% of YouTube's shading tutorials. The thing I don't see explained very often is how to apply this principle for more complex subjects. So, because of misconceptions, what you see beginners do is they apply this principle to every part of the subject separately, as we can see here. And while this can work for certain stylistic choices, we can clearly make the difference between when it's intentionally done well and when it's not. The fix for this is kinda hard to explain and a bit harder to apply, and will surely take you a few tries before you start making sense of it, so just bear with me for a moment. First, we need to go back in this piece a little. Yeah, right here. What I do, instead of treating every somewhat spherical part as its own, I see the whole character as that sphere. The light in this case is coming from above, so any plane that isn't looking up shouldn't be hit by our direct light source. As for the ambient lights, it's a pretty good opportunity to go wild with your shapes and highlights. Try out what works and what doesn't, since there isn't a single rule for every scenario for it. And about the ambient occlusion, you can check out my previous video where I explained how to go about it in a very simple way. Try this out, fail, retry, until you make it your own. And I guess we're done here. I'm gonna go ahead and render this piece, make it look somewhat decent. I hope you'll enjoy the final result. I hope this video helped you in some way or another. If so, please leave a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future content. And with all that said, stay safe, have a good day, and see you on the next one.